Okay, I'm going to continue with this this book here. Basically, this is the theory of Lilith, and in our first video, we talked about several different basic outline arguments, 23 of them, I believe, that justify the concept of Lilith in the Bible. And so we're going to continue on to the creation accounts of two women in Genesis. And so I think I put the let's see here, we need Bible Hub. There we go. Okay, Bible Hub. All right. So we'll see if anybody joins us. I don't know if anybody will. I have to alter that. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to alter it and add the Zoom room. Okay, now. Okay, so this is going over the theory of Lilith. And as we saw before, Lilith is actually mentioned in the Bible by name. And we'll see that in Isaiah chapter 34. We can get there, double check that. Isaiah 34. Okay. Okay. I'll find Isaiah one of these days. Okay, 34. All right, so I think it's down here somewhere. Yeah, right here, verse 15. Notice that some translations, they refer to this creature straight out by calling her a night demon. Let's see here. Double check this here. It's in here somewhere. There it is, the night bird. It's in 14, verse 14. And some of it says night bird, some of it says night creature. Look at this one, screech owl in King James. Night monster, NASB. Look at this. It actually brings it out. Lilith, night demon in the Amplified Bible. Okay, so if we go to the Hebrew, we can look at this here. And so there it is right there. Also there shall rest. So Aksham, Hargya, Lilith. There it is. Let's see if I can get it bigger for you guys. See that? Okay. Aksham, Hargya, and there it is, Lilith. Number 3917. The night creature. Okay, so we're talking about this figure in the book of Isaiah and how this creature fits into the narrative of Genesis and also ultimately in redemption. And so that's what we are working on tonight. Okay. That back down to normal. Okay, so well, last time we talked about these 23 proofs about Lilith. Okay, now here's 3.1 creation accounts of the two women in Genesis. The first argument for Lilith that we shall tackle is the notion that Genesis' account of Eve's creation is not consistent with its other creation accounts of a woman. In these other accounts, the woman appears to be created at the same time as Adam. The argument holds that this inconsistency is best resolved by concluding that Genesis must be referred to two different women. This argument must be put forth with great care. It is the only evidence usually proffered by proponents of the Lilith legend, and unfortunately, it is almost always presented in an outrageously faulted manner. Let us review all four separate accounts in Genesis that speak of the creation of Adam and or a woman. The King James version renders of each is listed below. I hold that the first three discuss the simultaneous creation of Adam and Lilith, while the last obviously discusses the latter creation of Eve. For ease of remembering, I hold that all mentions of a woman in Genesis before Eve's creation in Genesis 2:22 refer to Lilith. Okay, so the first creation account comes in Genesis 1, chapter 26-29. There, Yahweh creates both a male and female, and the male bears Yahweh's image. Yahweh then blesses the two and tells them they may eat of any tree. The brevity of the account certainly makes it appear as though Yahweh created both the male and female at the same time. Critics of Lilith would assert that this apparent co-creation of Adam and the woman in the passage is merely an artifact of a much abbreviated account of Adam and Eve's separate creation. It is difficult to refute their view based on just this one casual observation of one verse. However, there is more. Notice this. Genesis 1:26-29, and Yahweh said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. And Yahweh created man in his image, in the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. And Yahweh blessed them, and Yahweh said to them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And Yahweh said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed to you, it shall be for meat. Okay. Let's see if I can get this a little bigger. There we go. Okay, so the second creation account in Genesis 2:4-8, it oddly speaks of the generations of the heavens and the earth. Look at that. Heavens and the earth, the generations of the heavens and the earth. Okay, and explains why certain plants did not exist in the earth before this point. It then speaks of a strange mist breaking forth from the earth and watering the ground, and Yahweh's creation of Adam from the dust of the ground. In this most detailed account of Adam's creation, the simultaneous creation of a woman is not apparent in the King James Version. Because of this omission, this account is rightly taken by critics of Lilith as serious evidence against her legend. However, as we shall see in the next section, there is much in these passages that is not apparent from a casual reading of the King James Version. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 2:4-8, second retelling of Adam and Lilith's creation. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that the Master Yahweh made the heavens and the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh Elohim had not created it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put man whom he had formed. So the third creation account comes in Genesis chapter 5:2. Like the first account, it discusses the creation of a man and woman and reveals that Yahweh created the man in his own image. It further states that Yahweh blessed them and called their collective name Adam in the day they were created. The curiosity of this common name is covered in section 3.6. Okay, so actually Adam, and then for her would be Adama, would be in the feminine sense. The brevity of this creation account, like the first, again, suggests that both the woman and the man were created at the same time. However, critics would again respond by asserting that the illusion of the man and woman's co-creation is merely an artifact of an extremely succinct recap of Adam and Eve's separate creation. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But the reason why we're going through this material is to give you the entire picture of the entire argument and how this figure Lilith fits into. We know that Lilith is in existence because it's literally, this creature is written right out in Hebrew. And obviously, I mean, even if you look today, you know, the far left, super women's lib, pro-abortion, LGBTQ, they all venerate this demoness Lilith. They all venerate her. If you look at their signs, if you look at, you know, have you ever seen pictures of these festivals they put on, these orgies? Lilith is prominent in many, many places, written right out in English. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 5, 1 through 2, which is a third recap. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Yahweh created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Man and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. There is further evidence for procreation in Genesis 5:2. The passage states that Yahweh blessed and named them in the day they were created. That's something. So it does seem to present from the argument, the proponent of the Lilith theory, does seem to present that he created them, and assuming that that I suppose that the detractors could say, well, this is just abbreviated. They're all the same creation account. But as we will see as we go further in this, we'll find out that there's a lot of other information that they might not be aware of. And so it begins to build an argument, a picture. So again, this suggests a co-creation. Critics would explain the phrase with two arguments. The first is that Eve was actually created on the same day as Adam. This is difficult to accept, given all the events which transpired between the creation of the two. The second argument is that the word for day, yom, is used generically to mean a certain span of time. This is certainly an accepted meaning for yom, but such a usage for it here seems out of place. When yom is used to specify a generic span of time, it usually denotes an era of time marked by some common significant event, say like in prophecy. Like in that day, the sun shall, you know, not shine its light, and the moon shall, you know, there's prophecies to talk about that. In that talking about in that season, in that span of time. For example, the day of the Lord might actually refer to an era of judgment that spans over many years. There is no such era apparent in Genesis 5:2. In addition, this counter-argument of the critics bites both ways. It can also be used to support the notion of procreation. For just as easily as yom can mean a long span of time, it can also mean a very short span of time or an instant. Thus, in the day they were created could just as easily be understood as saying in the instant they were created, again implying a procreation of man and woman. The fourth and final creation account comes in Genesis chapter 2, verses 16 to 24. It clearly speaks of Eve's creation from Adam's rib, sometime after Yahweh's warning to Adam not to eat of the tree of knowledge. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 2, 15 to 24. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle, to the fowl of the air, to every beast of the field, but to Adam there was not found any helpmeet for him. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So in summary, a cursory reading the first and third creation accounts of a woman seemingly contradict the fourth creation story concerning Eve. The succinctness of the accounts, along with some of the wording, suggest that Adam and a man were co-created at the same time. However, there are plausible explanations for the apparent contradictions. The serious problem with the notion that Lilith explains these discrepancies lies in the second creation account of Genesis chapter 2, 4 through 8. There, Adam appears to be created alone, in conflict with the Lilith legend. However, as we shall see, these passages actually do discuss Lilith's creation, and they provide the strongest evidence for her in the Bible. Okay, so this is going to be in the Hebrew. We'll show you some of that. Okay, so 3.2, the co-creation of a woman with Adam in Genesis 2, 4 through 7. The most important biblical evidence to tackle in arguing Lilith's existence comes in the passage describing the second creation account of Adam in Genesis 2, 4 through 7. As we have seen, a cursory reading of those passages suggests that the man was created alone in a rather uneventful sequence of events. However, quite the opposite is true. The literal Hebrew relates that truly momentous events are occurring. It announces the simultaneous beginning of two rival generations of humans. Now, this is one of the reasons why I got keyed into this for the Ahad, is because we were talking about two rival generations of humans. I think it's one of the discussions we had for the Ahad. Remember that the Ahad is an academic discovery organization. A lot of this kind of material would not be accepted in a lot of religious groups, because they want to lock everything down. But we believe at the Ahad, under the general idea of Unity University, that there's no subject that what's in the realm of biblical scholarship that we should not, at least investigate and see about. So that's one of the good things about the Ahad. But we were talking about these two rival generations of human beings in one of our last meetings. I think it was a Thursday, maybe. One generation is rooted in the man, Adam. The other is rooted in the woman, Lilith. That would be Adamah. The man's generations would be after the likeness of Elohim, or Yahweh, for he was animated by the holy breath of Yahweh, which filled his nostrils. The woman's generations, this would be Lilith, not Eve. Lilith, mind you. The woman's generations would be after the likeness of Lucifer, for she was animated by his spirit in a mist which erupted up from the earth and watered her face. After a long struggle between the rival generations, where both endured curses, the generations of the man would prevail and inherit the earth and flourish. Now, this is interesting, because even in pagan lore and pagan, like if you study like dwarf mythology and elf mythology, and you study that kind of stuff, there's this theme that mankind is a direct competitor to all these creatures. These creatures, some of them are creatures of the night, some of them are, like ogres and so on. You know who really gets into that kind of mythology in popular culture is the Lord of the Rings series. Lord of the Rings. Think about that. That this kind of understanding is interwoven in all different cultures and in all different literature. Very interesting to consider. Just a thought. Consider. Okay, after a long struggle between the rival generations, where both endured curses, the generation of the man would prevail, inheriting the earth and flourish. The woman's generation would come to an end when Yahweh rained down curses upon the earth, such that her seed was slain and became disembodied demonic spirits trapped in the earth. As always, the best understanding of the passage begins with a good literal translation of the Hebrew. My best literal translation of the passage is below. It provides some subtle updates to the King James Version. The word-by-word breakdown is given in Table 3:1. In reading the table, recall that Hebrew is written from right to left. Okay, so here's the literal taken from this Hebrew here. Okay, so we have Elah, okay, Atoledot, the beginnings, Hashemayim, of the heavens, V'ha'aretz, and then, let's see, Berish, let's see, what is this? In their creation. Bara, I think that's Bara, and Barim, in their creation, in the day, Bayom, okay, so on and so forth, had made Yahweh Elohim, earth and heavens. Okay, so let's, this is where it's at in the Hebrew. And we can also look that up and see what that looks like in Genesis 2:4-7. Let's see here. All right, let's take a look at that for a minute here. Okay, so what we need is we need a different Hebrew here. Okay, so so this is going to match what's on there. Elah, Toledot, Hashemayim, Va'aretz, Baram, that's a big one, Bayom. Okay, and so what it's going to do is going to go and analyze this here. So it's more of a literal reading. So these are the beginnings of the heavens and of the earth and their creation in the day that Yahweh Elohim had made earth and heavens, and all thorn bushes of the field are before they came to be in the earth, and all herbs of the field are before they sprouted, because Yahweh Elohim did not cause it to rain upon the earth, and Adam is not for serving the Adamah. Okay, so notice that Eve is not referred to as Adamah. She's referred to as Hava, meaning the wellspring of the living. In other words, of mankind. It says, and there rose up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the Adamah. So it would be like Ha-Adamah. Okay, and so this is like the feminine form of Adam. Interesting. And Jehovah Elohim formed the man of the dust from Ha-Adamah, or the Adamah, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Okay, so in the author's translation, I maintain an important distinction made in the literal Hebrew. I'm very careful to distinguish between the proper name Adam and the term Ha-Adam, which is literally the Adam, and is commonly translated as the man in English. That's because Ha-Adam is masculine singular. The King James Version is not always strict in keeping this distinction. I do this because the Bible uses each term for distinct purposes. Okay, so let's look at this Ha-Adamah. Look at that. There it is right there. Ha-Adamah. Let's see if I can get that. I don't know if I can get it. Yeah, maybe I can here. So here it is, Ha-Adamah right here. Okay, and there's another one, Ha-Adamah. Notice the distinction between this and simply Adam. Look at that, Ha-Adam. That's masculine. Here's Adamah. This feminine. You don't get any of that in the English translation, do you? But clearly there's Adam and then there's Adamah. And of the dust from the Adamah, and breathe in his nostrils, okay? So it's talking about, literally in the Hebrew, it seems to imply that there were two separate entities that came from the ground. Remember, Hava, Eve, was taken from the rib of Adam. She was made from the rib, not taken from, not in the same process as this suggests, at least from the Lilith theory, okay? We put it that way. Okay, I'm very careful to distinguish between the proper name Adam and the term Ha-Adam, which is literally the Adam and is commonly translated as the man in English. The King James Version is not always strict in keeping this distinction. I do this because the Bible uses each term for distinct purposes. In Genesis, the name Adam consistently refers to a dual male and female creature. See section 3:6. Okay, we'll look at that for a minute. Let's see if I can get this up here. The term Ha-Adam, the man, refers solely to the masculine side of the dual Adam. This can be seen in Genesis 5:2. Remember, in the Lilith theory, the theory is that Yahweh created, in the first creation account, Yahweh created two beings on the same order. They were on the same order. Remember that Paul says of Eve that she's not on the same order of man. Yes, she has the same authority in heaven as a male does, but she's not on the same creative order. Paul goes into that very clearly in the epistle, because he says, what does he say? For a man, see, how does that go? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, let's see if this is it. Okay, interlinear. Oh, we need an actual English translation here. Okay, so this is it. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as the image and glory of Yahweh, for the woman is the glory of man. So there it is right there. For man, insomuch so man is the image and glory of Yahweh, but the woman is the glory of man. She's on a lower creative order. For man is not of the woman. This is Eve that's talking about here. You see what we're talking about is very, very tricky here. Get your mind around. For man is not of the woman, but the woman is of the man. Notice this. Hava, this is talking about Eve. Hava, the mother of the living. Okay? Neither was man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Okay, so this is all creative order stuff here that Paul is addressing. It goes back to very ancient knowledge that we're talking about now in Genesis. Okay. So in the Lilith understanding, the Lilith theory, Yahweh created the male and female together. He called their collective name Adam, although one was called Adamah. That would typographically be Lilith. Thus, Adam was a name for a dual creature consisting of both male and female. When Genesis wants to specifically address the male half of Adam, it uses the term Ha-Adam, the man. That's masculine. This remarkable fact is demonstrated in the first 22 times Genesis refers to the created male. It uses the term Ha-Adam, the man. Amazingly, before the physical creation of a man from the dust, the name Adam completely disappears from Genesis until late in Genesis 4. Look at that. The full mystery of this is discussed later in section 3.4. There's an important point to be made based on the universal use of Ha-Adam to denote the man Adam in Genesis. If a woman were created from the earth at the same time as Ha-Adam, man, then we would expect Genesis to refer to her as Ha-Adamah. That's right, the woman. This is because Ha-Adamah is the feminine form of Ha-Adam. Okay, remember I mentioned that already. Let me see if we have any comments. This is kind of a controversial subject. I kind of think, well, surely there's going to be some people at least say, forget it. You know, this is crazy. This is crazy talk, Professor Smith. Okay. All right. Well, this is why I'm going through this material to see what y'all think about this. Okay. We got one comment. Let's see what we got. Okay. Marcio put something here. I read a good article on token today. Yeah, I guess that's in connection to that dual seed line thinking, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at that article now. Very interesting. Thank you. Okay. Good deal. All right, so just remember, we have this Hebrew here. Adam refers to the man, whereas we notice later on it's using ha'adamah, the woman here. Now this is a completely different designation for Chava. Completely different designation. This is because ha'adamah is the feminine form of ha'adam. Thus, any Genesis reference to ha'adamah in the creation account should be considered a candidate reference for Lilith. Okay, the female half of Adam duo. For this reason, I leave the appearance of ha'adamah in verse 5, 6, and 7 only partially translated as Adamah. The King James Version translates ha'adamah as the ground in these three cases. Now, it probably was inconceivable to the King James translators to translate that as a female form of Adam. Because, I mean, imagine the worms that would open, the can of worms that would open up. Because Adamah also means ground. It comes from the idea of fertile. It comes from the idea of, you know, if you think of the earth, Adamah, the idea of its ability, it's like a womb. The earth is like a womb. It blossoms and blooms, you know, if the ground is in good shape. And so I can see why they would choose that. They would choose ground. And these three cases, because Adamah means ground in Hebrew, as we shall see in the analysis of the passage, strongly indicates that verse 6 appearance must be understood as the woman. I also hold that the other two appearances should be understood as the woman. Okay. Verse 4 opens, okay, so this is now the generations of the heavens and the earth. So I remember we were talking about that. Verse 4 opens the account with a very odd pronouncement. It states that these are the generations of the heavens and the earth in their creation. So look at this. Have you ever been taught about the generations of the heavens? Now, if you go to church, anybody who goes to church, you've been taught about the generations of the earth. Talking about mankind, you talk about Adam and Eve. They had, you know, I think it was, they had two sons, and then Cain slew his brother Abel, and, you know, and then it gives you the whole line. This is the generations of the earth. Remember, they're earthly, they're from the earth, but who has ever taught you about the generations of the heavens? Interesting. The state that the heaven and earth have generations is very unusual. The Hebrew word used is toledot. It might be best translated as begettings or those begotten. In the Bible, toledot also always refers to begetted children or generations of a father. In all its usages, the fathering entity immediately follows the word. In Genesis 2:4, the heavens and the earth are listed immediately after toledot. Thus, the passages are speaking of the begettings of the two generations, whose fathering entities are the heavens and the earth. Obviously, the heavens and the earth are non-living locales, incapable of fathering life. Okay, so the heavens and the earth. As we shall see, the term refers to the places where the fathering spirits reside. Okay, interesting. The opening verse is very clear that the subsequent passage, I might have misinterpreted that earlier here about the generations of the heaven of the earth. Let's see what he says here. I might have gotten a little bit on a rabbit trail that maybe went off the wrong direction, but the opening verse is very clear that subsequent passages will discuss the origins or genesis of the two generations. Verse 4 states that these are the generations in their creation. Thus, there are two generations that were created, and the verse declares that the beginnings of each will be discussed in the following passages. Okay, so interesting. So this is talking about the generations of the heavens and the earth. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, so now let's look at the Hebrew doublet of the account. Unfortunately, too many laypersons, to most laypersons, the next verse appears to be a mishmash of odd statements. The difficulty in comprehending the passages is largely due to two factors. First, the accounts of the two generations are interwoven with each other within the passages using a Hebrew doublet construct. Second, the last three verses are describing events in reverse chronological order. The key to clearly understanding the verses is realizing they are written in a doublet construct. A doublet construct consists of two parallel yet separate accounts interweaved and alternating statements within a single set of passages. Wow, that's a mouthful. Usually each verse of the construct is a compound sentence. The second verse will discuss an aspect of the first topic. The second sentence will then discuss a mirroring aspect of the second topic. This alternating discussion will continue for each verse of the construct with the other that the topics are discussed within each verse strictly maintained. For example, a Hebrew construct may start with a compound sentence stating that two events, 1A and 1B, occur. The second compound sentence states that 2A and 2B result. I wonder if this could be applied to Cain and Abel. Could we see this kind of pattern when it talks about Cain and Abel? Could we see this kind of pattern when it talks about Jacob and Esau? Interesting. Because both those figures have contrasting narratives. The third states that the reasons are 3A and 3B. The doublet construct is based on the fact that sentences 1A, 2A, and 3A discuss a common topic or string of events. This is termed the string A message. Likewise, 1B, 2B, and 3B form a second string of statements termed string B, concerning a mirror topic to the string A. The objective of the doublet construct is contrast to compare string A to string B. So it's comparative. Got two narratives going on, and you're comparing each one. A lot of times there's an opposing message sometimes, like Esau. He was a man of the field. He was the kind of guy that would go out there and hunt. But what was Jacob? He was a man of the tent. Esau was considered to be a rough character. He had hair all over him, but Jacob was considered to be a man of culture. Yeah, he was a tent dweller, but he was still, for a tent dweller, he was a man of culture. Idiomatically, it could mean that he was a man of the book, that he studied books. When it says that you're someone who's a man of the tent, it means that you would study books or scrolls in a tent. That also is held by the house of Judah. So we have this kind of these two narratives going on, this doublet construct. Every element in string A matches a mirror counterpart in string B, therefore facilitating the contrast and compare of each element of both strings. The doublet is useful and compact tool for contrasting and comparing similar events. Let us first discuss the string B doublets in verse 4 through 6, which is easy to follow. This is laid out in the last column of table 3.2. 1B declares that this string concerns the creation of the beginnings or generations of the earth. 2B states that these beginnings were established in the day Yahweh had made the heavens. 3B declares the current time is a time before all cultivated crops or cultivated herbs of the field have sprouted. Interesting. 4B explains that this lack of crops is because Adam does not yet exist to till and serve Ha'adamah, the ground. 5B relates that Yahweh formed Ha'adam, the man, from the dust of Ha'adamah and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. These parts are all linked and discuss the same topic. When put together, they relate that after the heavens were created, the herbs of the field had not yet sprouted because there was no Adam to cultivate them or serve Ha'adamah. In this case, contextually, it would be the ground. After Yahweh created the man from the dust of Ha'adamah, there was a man to till them. In other words, because Adam is now created. And the cultivated herbs did sprout. And now notice this says cultivated herbs. That's interesting. And generations of the earth were complete. Thus, the herbs of the field are the generations of the earth. Okay, interesting. So I guess I was wrong about that earlier. Thus, the herbs of the field are the generations of the earth, and their beginnings are in Ha'adam, the man. Interesting. Okay, so note the last three elements of the doublet are written in reverse chronological order. 3b says there are currently no crops in the field. 4b explains this is because there is no Adam. 5b documents the creation of Ha'adam, the man, which is the beginning of the generation of heavens. Okay, so here is the doublet here. I wonder if I can get this bigger. I don't know if I can or not. Nope. Maybe I could. Okay, let's see here. Kind of got me off track here, didn't it? Okay. Okay, generations of the heavens. Let's pick this back up again. Okay, okay, there we go. I think we're at where we were. Okay, so here it is. I wonder if there's some way that I could get this to open on its own page. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We got string A doublets, string B doublets. Okay, part 1. This is Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. These are the begettings of the heavens in its creation. Here's string B, and these are the begettings, the earth in its creation. Okay, part 2. In the day that Yahweh Elohim had made the earth. Okay, here's string B. In the day Yahweh had made the heavens. Okay. Part 3, Genesis 2, verse 5, all thorn bushes of the field are before they came to be in the earth. Okay, string B says, and all cultivated herbs of the field are before they sprouted. Okay. Part 4, because Yahweh Elohim not had caused it to rain upon the earth. Okay. Here's the string B, because Adam was not for serving Ha'adamah. In other words, he apparently he was not tilling the ground at that point, maybe. Part 5, Genesis 2, verse 6, and there arose up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the Adamah. That would be, in that case, the earth, maybe. And Yahweh Elohim formed Ha'adam, the man, and of dust from Ha'adamah, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And Ha'adam, the man, became a living soul. Interesting. Okay, so now let us consider the string A doublets, which are laid out in the first column of table 3.2. 1a declares that this string concerns the creation of the beginnings or generations of the heaven. 2a states that these beginnings were established in the day Yahweh had made the earth. 3a states that the current time is a time before the thorn bushes of the field have come to exist in the earth. Now, I always was taught that the thorn bushes and the bad plants were basically a result of the fall. Interesting. 4a explains that this is because Yahweh had not yet caused it to rain upon the earth. And 5a relates that a mist rose and watered the face of Ha'adamah, the ground, or the woman. Interesting how that can be interpreted in two different ways. Let's see, watered the face of the ground. Okay, let's see if I can get that other one highlighted here. These parts are again all linked and discuss the same topic. When put together, they relate that after the earth was formed, no thorn bushes existed in the field because Yahweh had not caused a rain upon the earth. Using this string's parallelism with string B doublets to guide us, we see that Yahweh had not caused it to rain because the mist had not yet erupted from the earth, and watered the face of Ha'adamah, just as Adam could not serve the Adamah because he was not created yet. Interesting. Once this mist erupted, Yahweh caused a rain upon the earth, and the thorn bushes of the field begin to exist in the earth, and the generations of the heavens were complete. Okay. The doublet construct implies the creation of a woman with the man. Okay, so that's important. The parallelism of the construct demands that when the mist waters the face of Ha'adamah, that being the woman, this should result in a living creature responsible for the thorn bushes of the field. Just as the breath of Yahweh filling Ha'adamah, the man, resulted in a creature responsible for the cultivated herbs of the field. Isn't that something? So it's like, so the thorn bushes then, that's almost like a cursed thing, you know? So that's something. Let's see here. Thus, the parallelism of the doublet demands understanding Ha'adamah of 5a as referring to the woman, half of the Adam male-female duo. Through the parallelism, we also see that the mist of the earth and the breath of Yahweh are the two inseminating forces in the rival generations. The target of the mist was the face of Ha'adamah, or in this case, translated the woman. The target of Yahweh's breath was the nostrils of Ha'adam, the man. So we're not talking about Eve here. We're talking about before Eve was even created from Adam. So this is a theory that suggests that before Eve was even created, that there was a creation and that there were two beings on the same created order. And then the Bible calls this person, or at least it refers to in Isaiah. And then with legend and various other sources kind of pieced together, we get the idea that this woman could very well be this Lilith character. And so you have these two different competing creation accounts here. All right, so 323, the defiling mist of the lower creation waters. Several evidences confirm the notion that the ascending mist was a rival inseminating agent to Yahweh's Holy Spirit, or Ruach HaKodesh. First, consider the literal Hebrew of verse 6. It states that the mist, Ya'alah, arose from the earth and watered the face of Ha'adamah. Ya'alah means to ascend under one's own power. Interesting. This makes it clear that the mist arose from the earth of its own volition and power and was not a direct causation of Yahweh. In addition, Yahweh purposely created Ha'adam, the man, from dry dust free from the mist's effects. Yahweh's avoidance of wetted soil is another clue that the mist was defiling. As we shall see, section 5.1, the Zohar teaches that Lilith was animated by Lucifer's defective light. Interesting. The source of this defective light was the mist. Wow, look at that. That's in the Zohar. Of course, the Zohar, we at the Yahad, we really don't count that as authoritative, but it's interesting that the Jewish sages, the mystics, parallel that, the defective light, with the mist. Interesting. Let me see if I got any comments here. Any other comments? Bring this down. Okay, we're at 42 minutes here. This other share here. Like it doesn't tell me what the other share is. Okay. All right, we'll go for about a few more minutes here. The most astounding evidence for the defiling nature of the mist stems from the mystical meaning of the word used to denote its watering of the ground. The mystical meaning is established by the principle of first appearances. Okay, so principle of first appearances theory asserts that the mystical meaning of a word is defined by the context of the biblical passages in which the word is first found. A word's principle of first appearance is determined according to a hierarchy of how closely a Bible appearance matches the spelling of the word. The more precise a spelling match, the stronger the mystical meaning match. This is because changing a single letter can switch words' meanings significantly. For example, by changing a single letter, a verb can switch from active to passive, to causative, or to reflexive. Well, that's a lot in Hebrew. We learn about all that as well. The notion of principle of first appearances is fully explained and elaborated upon in the book, The Bitter Water Code. Okay, so it must be he's got a second book out there somewhere, The Bitter Water Code. A word for how the mist watered the ground in verse 6 is vahashaka. Okay, so let's take a look at that for a minute. Get back there. Where's that at? Okay, vahashaka is the hip-file form of the verb shaka, which means to drink, plus a vav conjunctive prefix. Thus, hashaka means and cause to drink or into water. Interesting. Okay. Now the question is, how do I get back to where we were? That's not it. Got a bunch of my mom's books on there. She loves those novels. No, we don't want this. Let's go back to. All right, there's got to be a better way to get my notes without. Okay, this might be where we're at. Okay. All right, so the word for how the mist watered the ground in verse 6 is hashaka. I don't know if this will allow me to. Okay, so Numbers chapter 5, verse 24 and 27 are the only two passages elsewhere in the Bible where hashaka can be found spelled exactly as in verse 6. Okay, Numbers 5, 24 and 27. These two passages concern the bitter water trial of the adulterous wife. Wow. And that also connects with the Lilith theory. Okay, so Numbers 5, 24 and 27 are the only two passages vahashaka. Okay, so let's look at this Numbers 5, 24. Okay. 524. Okay, let's take a look at this in the Hebrew. Let's see, vahishka. Okay, and drink. There it is, right there. Vahishka. Okay, vahishka. All right. So what's this other one again? This other one is Numbers 5:27. Let's take a look at that. Okay, and there it is again. Vahishka. Okay, Numbers 82:48. And when he has made her drink. So what's the point here? Okay, so the word for how the mist watered the ground in verse 6 is vahishka. And it's Numbers, and there's only two other places where vahashka can be found spelled exactly as in verse 6. These two passages concern the bitter water trial of the adulterous wife. In both instances, vahashka refers to the priest causing the woman to drink of the cursed bitter waters. Wow, isn't that something? Because in the theory of Lilith, remember that it's Hasatan. And, if you go to the Zohar that teaches that Lucifer's defective light, the source of this defective light was a mist. And, in the theory, it says that this mist came up and she drank of it and she became animated. And look at this right here. It uses the same word in the bitter water trial. And the priest causes the woman to drink it, this bitter water. Wow. Thus, the principle of first appearances for hashka denotes the drinking of bitter waters by the wayward adulterous wife at the Sota trial. This implies that in her creation count in Genesis 2, Lilith is mystically said to be drinking the waters of the Sota. So it's all that's if you understand the Lilith theory, then the bitter water makes sense. If you reject the Lilith theory, the bitter water is just an arcane, crazy making thing that the priest came up with. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But if you understand Lilith, hey, wow, this makes powerful sense. Because it's like it's playing out Lilith drinking. And Lilith, remember, is an adulterous woman because she left her husband, Adam, and shacked up with that demon. What was his name? Samael? She shacked up with Samael. I think that's right. Is that right? Lilith shacked up with Samael. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And remember, who was the offspring of that? Azazel, the scapegoat. Okay, so what is the scapegoat? Okay, if you look in the Hebrew, now the King James translators probably had no clue what to do with this word, so they said scapegoat. But in the Hebrew, it's Azazel, and that's a well-known demon that's in the Book of Enoch, right? I think Azazel is listed there. Book of Enoch. Wow, a lot of information here. Okay, so here's this woman in the bitter water trial. She's an adulteress, most likely. And she is in the stead of Lilith. And she's being made to drink this mist, this water. This implies that her creation account in Genesis 2, Lilith is mystically said to be drinking the waters of the Sota. This is amazing because Lilith was the first Sota, that being the first guilty woman who was guilty of adultery and had to receive the just punishment and reward for her evil work. Interesting. That the mist which watered the ground carried the defilement of Satan's spirit may also be surmised by a thoughtful reading of Genesis. Genesis verses 1-2 relates that after the creation of the universe, the earth had become waste and void. Look at that. Many biblical scholars hold that this transition to a waste state was the result of Satan's rebellion. Maybe he got, kicked out of heaven and came down to the earth and just threw himself a grand fit and destroyed everything. I don't know. I'm just supposing. This is academic at this point. In Genesis 1:1, Yahweh created the universe in a perfected state. After this, Satan rebelled. By the next verse, the earth had become void and waste with the defilement of Satan's rebellion. Such an understanding follows the gap theory. The gap theory. That theory holds that there is a large gap of unwritten history between the first and second verses of Genesis. Wow. With the gap theory, we see that the major theme of early Genesis is Yahweh's redemption of the earth from its defiled state. Interesting. Because remember, it says that the spirit of Yahweh was upon the face of the deep. Actually, that term means it was brooding. It was brooding. And then creation began to spring up again. Okay. This process began immediately in verse 2. After the waters, the creation had become waste and void. Yahweh moved upon the surface of the waters. Yahweh did not enter the waters, for they contained the defilement of Satan's rebellion. However, Yahweh's spirit moved upon the face of the waters and sought to redeem the waters. Interesting. Yahweh's first act in this endeavor was to create light. This separated the darkness of defiled creation from the light of Yahweh's intended creation. Interesting. We've often been taught that it was dark and it was like physical light. But in this case, maybe it was, well, it's like Yeshua said, I am the light of the world. He who, it says, if you're not walking in my light, you're walking in darkness. Well, that's Satan's realm, isn't it? Not necessarily, as we're talking about very symbolic, esoteric kind of concepts here, but it opens the mind to a lot of possibilities, doesn't it? Yahweh's spirit moved upon the face of the water, sought to redeem them. Yahweh's first act in this endeavor was to create light. This separated the darkness that defiled creation from the light of Yahweh's intended creation. This also quarantined Satan's defilement from the holy presence of Elohim. On the second day, Yahweh further purified creation by establishing a firmament, or a divide, in the midst of the water, so that the waters above the firmament were separated from the waters below the firmament. Now the upper waters were with Yahweh's presence and purified, while the lower waters still contained the quarantined defilement of Satan's rebellion. On the third day, Yahweh further confined the defilement of the lower waters by creating dry land in the midst of the waters. The dry land was a special abode below the firmament that was free from the lower waters. Upon the purified dry land, Yahweh sought to create the dual Adam creature who would bear Yah's image. However, a mist of defiled lower creation waters erupted from the earth and watered the face of this woman named Lilith, in that understanding. Okay. All right. Let me see where we are under time here. Let's see. All right, we're at about an hour. I think what we'll do is we'll stop here. 3, 2, 4, the reign of Jehovah and the thorn bushes of the field. We'll stop there. I'm going to add a little bookmark here. Okay, let's check this here. Well, that's the contents. What I need are bookmarks. Not this here. Yeah, maybe it is. Okay, so. Okay. Okay, these are highlights. That's what that is. Okay, all right. All right, I think we'll be able to figure our way, get back here. Anyway, I hope you guys like this. There's a lot of deep stuff in here, isn't there? You know, I hope to put a few more of these up. And, you know, it's worth studying out, whether you accept it or reject it. Doesn't really matter, but you might gain something out of here, out of this study. So I hope you guys have a great night, and I will bid you shalom, shalom. And if I can get this thing to work, there we go. All right, shalom, shalom.